know. Are you gonna stream what you're looking at?
Oh shit. Okay, let me send you the link.
No, like on Discord.
Oh. Yeah. Let me...
Have a live reaction to what you're looking at.
Yeah. Alright, should be running. Uh-oh. Okay. Oh shit, this is actually the 10th episode. Oh fuck, I'll just fix that later, I guess. Well, welcome to the 10th installment of the AVC show. I am none other than Angry Vegan Cyclist. And today we have Alcoholic Gaming. So, dare I ask how things are going?
I mean, it's alright.
Fair enough. What is this week? So this week's, yeah, there's no sponsors. I haven't been very active on my server this week. I'm sorry. I don't know. My mind's been kind of wandering. Maybe I've lost whatever. I guess perhaps I'm losing some kind of mojo or excitement that I used to have when I first began the show, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on. My mind is a noisy place in any case, and I'm always thinking about something. But, yeah. So, I just kind of looked back. I thought about, okay, well, I was going to do a show today, but I'm just not feeling it quite yet. And then I looked through all of the links I saved and bounced around within the server, and I'm like, oh shit, now I remember. Let's do a show today. So, here I am. Motivation is weird like that. You really have to know yourself and know your enemy, and only then can you not fear the outcome of 100 battles. So, a lot of times, a lot of emotions, I think, are, well, I guess it's really a feedback loop, but you need to pay attention to the reactive nature of emotions. You emotionally react to your own thoughts, and that's part of the feedback loop that causes you to be interested in something. So be sure to cultivate your interests, not just necessarily find them. Some things you can cultivate, try as hard as you can, but you just can't get into it. And then, okay, then you should stop. Maybe you should do something else. But other things that, the more you look into it, the more interesting things you find, and then the more you're interested you become in it as you go on in life. A lot of things in life that you have to, it's a continual effort to cultivate an interest, but you still do it because at a rational level, at a higher, like a gray matter level, you think, okay, well, there is a greater purpose to this that I should be doing. So I'm going to deal with the boring or the difficult parts of whatever it is I'm working on because I value a greater objective other than the immediate pleasure or displeasure of the activity itself. So I don't know if that's any useful insight about how I stay interested in a lot of things I do in my life. So, questions, comments, emotional outbursts?
No. actually, no.
Okay. All right. Well, I suppose we will get straight into the first article or topic. Let me take the privacy cover off. So, from The Guardian earlier this week, Biden approves controversial Willow oil drilling project in Alaska. Environmentalists and some Alaska Native communities have opposed the plan over climate, wildlife, and food shortage fears. By 3 people, apparently.
Food shortage is bullshit. The United States makes enough money to feed well over double the population. There will be no food shortage from a couple oil drills.
So, what I think is going on is that, so obviously Alaska is a big place with a lot of geographic variation. And Alaska is probably not a hotspot for agriculture since it's like mostly mountains and forests and frozen death. And I think what's going on is that the villagers probably, I guess let's take a quick look at Alaskan geography. So I'm guessing right around here is when it starts to get really fucking cold, and I guess nothing really survives there except for maybe like Arctic foxes or predatory animals, kind of something of the sort.
Yeah, but they're importing all their grain. Period.
Yeah, probably. I guess in like the southern half where it's a little bit warmer, maybe there's a bit more flat spaces, and clearly there's enough water available. I don't know about the soil quality. Again, probably not that great. So in any case, Alaska's kind of like an island where a lot of the things have to be sent to it. And then what makes it special is whatever's abundant in Alaska, which is lumber, oil, raw materials, open space, I guess. So that, of course, that shapes the economy. Now, I'd imagine Anchorage, which I believe is the biggest city, there's probably, how many people? Let's go look real quick. So Anchorage has about just under 300,000 people. So clearly there's some economy there. People there are probably not agriculturally focused. So safe to say there's plenty of food that gets imported into Alaska. Now, you might have heard of Alaskan salmon, which, as far as I understand, it's a very expensive product that nobody really wants to buy. No, that's a little too much to share. But anyway, yeah. So, other than salmon, like what other sources of food do people bring to the villages, or any quote unquote agriculture in Alaska bring to the rest of the country, to the world at a greater scale? Not much. So, what I think is going on here is that just like farmers in other Western countries or the rest of the United States, these communities don't really have any skill or willingness to move from where they are to put food on the table, so to speak. Not just literally, but financially as well. Now, what I think is going on here is that as Alaska starts to utilize more of its natural resources, it's going to get in the way of the way of life of rural villages that probably depend on something like their overpriced fish that nobody really buys. And it's just a voter issue at that point. So anyway, I think I've speculated enough. Let's keep reading. So, quote, the Biden administration has approved a controversial $8 billion drilling project on Alaska's North Slope, which has drawn fierce opposition from environmentalists and some Alaska Native communities who will say it will speed up climate breakdown and undermine food security. The ConocoPhillips, and we're talking some big oil bucks right now, Willow Project. It will be one of the largest of its kind on U.S. soil, involving drilling for oil and gas at 3 sites for multiple decades on the 23 million acre National Petroleum Reserve, which is owned owned by the federal government and the largest tract of undisturbed public land in the U.S. It will produce an estimated 576 million barrels of oil over 30 years, with a peak of 180,000 barrels of crude a day. This extraction, which ConocoPhillips has said may ironically involve refreezing the rapidly thawing Arctic permafrost to stabilized drilling equipment, would create one of the greatest, quote, carbon bombs on U.S. soil, potentially producing more than twice as many emissions than all renewable energy products on public lands by 2030 would cut combined. In this decision, the Department of Interior's Bureau of Land Management said that the approval, quote, strikes a balance by allowing ConocoPhillips to use its long-standing leases in the Arctic while also limiting drilling to 3 sites rather than 5, which the company wanted. But the approval has been met with outrage among environmental campaigners and native representatives who say it fatally undermines Joe Biden's climate agenda. Yes, this gets interesting, doesn't it? In all, the project is expected to create about 216 million tons of greenhouse gases over its lifespan, the equivalent of creating about 70 new coal-fired power plants. Quote, approving the Willow Project is an unacceptable departure from President Biden's promises to the American people on climate and environmental justice, says Lena Muffett, a executive director of Evergreen Action, a climate group. Quote, after all that this administration has done to advance climate action and environmental justice, it is heartbreaking to see a decision that we know will poison Arctic communities and lock in decades of climate pollution we simply cannot afford. The approval came as the Interior Department announced it was going to ban any future oil or gas drilling in the U.S. Arctic Ocean, as well as protect millions of acres of Alaska land deemed sensitive to native communities. But the Willow decision has still stirred anger. The Biden administration's approval makes it clear that its call for climate action and the protection of biodiversity is talk and not action, says Sonia Akivkak, a social outreach coordinator at the Sovereign Inupiat for a Living Arctic group. The only reasonable solution to the climate emergency is to deny new fossil fuel projects like Willow. Our fight has been long, and also it has only begun. We will continue to call for a stop to Willow because of the lives of the local people and future generations depend on it. Opposition to the project has included more than 1 million letters sent to the White House, a Change.org petition with more than 3 million signatories, and a viral hashtag Stop Willow campaign waged on TikTok as well as other social media. The approval of the project is almost certain to face legal challenges. On Friday, former U.S. Vice President Al Gore told The Guardian that projects of its kind are, quote, recklessly irresponsible and that allowing it would cause, quote, climate chaos. The approval comes...
Al Gore has been predicting climate chaos for the past 30 years, and every time the date shows up, they're like, oh, the world's going to end.
But see, that's hate speech. That's hate speech against a straight white male. We're going to sue you. Well, no, it's actually climate denial, so we're going to sue you on grounds of that. So congratulations, you're canceled.
You'll lose money in lawyer fees.
That's what I hope. God, these fucking environmentalists. Anyway, so the approval comes after environmental impact assessment that was established last month by the U.S. Interior Department, which recommended a scaled-back version of the project, reducing the number of sites from 5 to 3, which ConocoPhillips Alaska said it had considered a viable option. Quote, Willow is a carbon bomb that cannot be allowed to explode in the Arctic. Karlin Nagiak Itchoak, the senior regional director at the nonprofit Wilderness Society, said after the assessment was published in early February. According to the Native Movement, a grassroots Alaska-based collective, Willow developers have done little research on the impact of the cumulative projects across the Arctic slope of Alaska, the birthing grounds of 60,000 Teshekpuk Lake caribou herd, which are a historically important food resource, and residents of Nuiqsut, the closest Alaska Native community, have spoken about sick fish, malnourished caribou, and toxic air quality directly caused by existing oil and natural gas extraction within their homelands. Notice they didn't put any data. This is all qualitative observations and anecdotes.
Okay, maybe natural gas extractions, but pulling oil out of the ground's not going to dump carbon into the fucking atmosphere. It still has to go to a factory for it to be processed and made, which won't be done in
Well, the
Alaska.
construction process of the rig itself is what's going to spit out this carbon emissions. And even then, my question is, okay, so fucking what?
You're probably dumping more carbon emissions keeping those people fed up north.
I mean, yeah, you got to ship all that shit over, right? I mean, in Anchorage with a city of 300,000 people, I mean, that's a lot. That's literally tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of cargo. You've got to haul by plane. You've got to haul by ship, or God forbid, by truck through what is it, the Alcan Highway or whatever.
The United States is one of the least polluting places on Earth.
Okay, if Americans lived at the population density of say like Asia or urban Europe, and kept their lifestyle, they would be way worse. But because the United States has so much space to spread out, all the pollutants just kind of the ppm, the concentration of the pollution, air pollution, kind of evens out. And same thing with water. It's a law of entropy, right? So does that mean that many years down the road, is there like a micro concentration, like for example microplastics? That's another contentious environmental issue. Could that be an issue later on? Yes, but if it's such a low concentration, most people's bodies are able to just kind of filter that stuff out. It's part of the immune system. So how much at that point, and then you're just splitting hairs. You're splitting fractals of hairs to try and prove something, usually for a political reason. So that's how this, and I know I just hit you with some like some what is it, ecology to human physiology, back to economy and
I
then
feel like
politics.
this is a article where we're gonna have to see some other sources.
Look,
Let's
there's no
let's
fucking there's very little data here. They
look
just
up look up these people and see how many of them are actually hunting for survival and how many of them are just getting food from a grocery store.
So from what I do know is that there is a lot
That we
of
should Google it.
oh, I don't well the question is, how do I frame the question? Or actually, what? Let's go ask AI. How about that?
I think you should just Google it. Like, where do these people
Okay.
live? Up north. Like,
Where
what towns?
do
They live in
Alaskans
towns.
get their food? And we're looking for data. We're not looking for fucking sob stories, because clearly those are biased. Backroads.com. What to know and what to eat in Alaska. Okay. Fuck off. Stupid ads. Anyway. All right. They're talking about what kind of food people eat, but they're not talking about where the food comes from. So, Alaskans who live off grid. Okay, that doesn't apply. That's clearly the very, very small minority of the population. So this okay. All I'm getting is tourism articles.
Just go to maps. Go to where these people live. If you can find a grocery store, I guarantee you don't. They are not all eating moose.
I don't know. We need to find some solid data, or well, we could look at the map. But then what is that? What exactly is the map going to tell us? That's my question to you.
It'll at least tell us if they have a grocery store. And if they do, a lot of that stuff's being shipped in from the lower 48.
Yeah, probably. Especially with Anchorage. 300,000 people. Okay, so let's go to the satellite view. So it looks like so the Denali mountain range is like this white stuff here. So those are all mountains. Okay, well, not much to eat there. And the rest seems to kind of be like really irregular grassy, marshy shit. At least whenever it's not frozen. And then there's this mountain range here. I don't know what this is. Gates of the Arctic. And north of that is just like mud and shale trickling down into I guess the Beaufort Sea, which is the body of water just north of the Pacific Ocean.
No, we're looking for communities. We're not just looking at general land formations.
Well, here's Red Dog Mine. It's a mine. Duh. Here's Kivalina, which is like this little. It looks like those. I don't know if you've ever played around on Google Maps. It's like the villages in the middle of the bumfuck nowhere in Russia, like Siberia. There's really not much going on here. It's just water. Nothing grows here. So I guess they're relying on fishing. Now, here's Point Hope, which is the same thing. It's just a tiny little village with a little sort of grid system. They've got some gas tanks, water, airport. Nothing grows here. There's no harbor. So I'm guessing, okay, so clearly there's a bunch of villages all over the place, and there's probably maybe a few dozen people in each. So Prudhoe Bay, okay, the highway goes all the way to Prudhoe Bay. I'm guessing there's a lot of oil going on here. No food, okay. Kaktovik. Same thing. All right. So that's the north side. All right. Now let's go to the south side of the state. Here's Homer. Might be a seaport here. Oh, yeah, there's a seaport here. All right. So Homer is a city at the very end of the Alaska Highway 1. There's definitely a seaport. There's probably boats, commercial boats coming through there. So that's where probably a lot of fish is being handled. Let's see, this town named Soldovia.
And these oil riggers are going to be up north, right?
Yeah, the oil is going to be north. It seems like the only commercially active towns with boats and probably fish going through it, filled in them, is mostly in the south side of the state. So, yeah, where are these people complaining about? So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like, I don't know if why they called, I don't know. So in any case, yeah, north half of the state, mostly frozen death, and a bunch of bumfuck villages no one seems to give a shit about. And these people obviously they probably vote, because I know that these towns are probably connected to the postal service. So that's probably how they send their votes back and forth, if not through the internet. Oh, there you go. See, there's a postal office right there. Even in this fucking nowhere village, Kotzebue. So my question is, okay, what percentage of the population is in the rural area? And what percentage of the population is in the big cities in Alaska, like Anchorage, Fairbanks, Juneau, etc.? So, all right, let's look then. Population distribution of Alaska, rural versus urban. Okay, the population distribution of Alaska varies greatly depending on race and ethnicity. Okay, we're not talking about races. I don't give a shit. The issue more than the race, although I'm sure people like these villages will play on the race card and say, oh, it's a racist against Alaska natives or whatever, just like Native Americans. You know, that's just the legal environment we're in. But I think the bigger issue here is about the economy. And like the Pebble Mine, Alaska's problem was whenever you choose between industrializing such a large and wild part of the world versus keeping it rural, these two are fundamentally at odds with each other. They're beating each other like my knuckles are in this strange demonstration you can't see. And one has to lose. And it's kind of up to the people of Alaska to vote for which outcome they prefer their state to go into. Now, that's what I'm trying to find out. What percentage of the population lives in the bumfuck villages that don't really seem to contribute anything except for overpriced seafood versus the industrialized parts of Alaska? Um, population and migration. That might be good. So the USDA says employment share by race is... No, this is about race. I don't fucking care about race, god damn it. Local work-related commuting in farming-dependent countries remained high during COVID. Nobody cares. I don't care. Where the fuck can I find a population distribution? Okay, let's look at the, Alaskan cities by population. And we'll just have to do some, like, spitball math. So, let's go to a list. Okay, so obviously Anchorage is the most populated city with over 300,000 people. Well, roughly, I guess. Juneau and Fairbanks have populations that range between 10 and 100,000 people, respectively. Really? Okay. Come on. Okay. Anchorage, 291,000. Fairbanks, 32,000. Juneau, 32,000. Nick Fairview, 20,000. Badger, 18. College, 10. Meadow Lakes, 9. Wasilla, 9,000. Tenina. So I guess from here downwards, it's probably a bunch of villages. Let's just count all these. So it's about 8,000, 6,000, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 9, 8, 7, 6. Oh, wow, there's a bunch of villages with like fucking like double and single digit populations. Wow, this is... Negative population. So, okay, all right. So what's going on? Okay, all right. I think I see what might be happening. So all these fucking places. So there's 300 some cities listed in this document right here, right? So if you go by head count, clearly it's just like the United States, like the United States election system. So Anchorage, Fairbanks, Juneau would call the shots. They're the majority of the population. But if you go by electoral system, where you look at like the number of property, you vote based on the number of counties or segments of the state that vote in a certain way, then clearly all these nobody villages have way more political influence on the Alaska government than Anchorage, Fairbanks, and Juneau. So, in spite of being the minority of the population, all these people here have a much bigger say in the state's politics. So it's no wonder that the Pebble Mine really just like no one's fucking heard of it, because there's just the project seems to be dead in the water because all of these dipshits are all voting against it. Because my Alaskan salmon, nobody's gonna buy my overpriced seafood, so I'm gonna vote the shit out of them. Yeah, fuck you, fuck Anchorage, fuck Fairbanks, fuck industrialization. I want to live in my hut and I want to fish. It's like they're literally dragging down like the economic development of a new land because they don't want to learn a fucking code. Basically, that's pretty shitty, in my opinion. So like I guess it's a bit different than like the rest of the country, where the environmentalists are not in the city. The environmentalists are out in the rural areas. Isn't that a pickle? Doesn't that just throw you for a loop? And, actually, no, it gets worse, because now the university students, they're all like hip, like, oh, support native communities because I'm totally not racist. Ooh. And then they team up with the villages to halt industrialization of Alaska. Like, shit. That's a tough sell. I mean, but see, like, I know, okay, money talks normally. But clearly in this case, the politics talk louder than the money. Or do they? Because all of these little villages, all they have to offer is overpriced seafood. Or I guess in the northern area it's oil. But then the oil has to be spearheaded by multi-billion-dollar corporations like ConocoPhillips in order to actually mobilize the oil. So I guess the corporations will be involved at at the industrialized sector of the state. Meanwhile, the rural area, they're like, no, I don't want technology. I want to use a paddle boat to fish. Like, it's fucking. I don't know. Okay, if you were governor of Alaska, what would you do with these people? You say ConocoPhillips is writing you a letter. Say, hey, we got lots of money. We want oil. We'll pay you a lot of. We'll give you a little kickback. What do you say, Mr. Governor of Alaska? You're probably swayed that way, but at the same time,
probably to keep the people happy, I would just have ConocoPhillips come out and say that they would just clean up any messes they'd make.
At least say they are, right? But then what the people in the villages might...
Again, I don't think there's going to be any effect on fish population.
Yeah, and then there's like what, caribou? I mean, how are you going to ship? So let's say you live in, I don't know, fucking Kotzebue. No. Caribou tend to go in like flatlands, right? So let's say you're in, I don't know, Arctic Village, Alaska. You live all the fucking way out here. There's maybe like an airport. There's no road that goes to the rest of the country. So whatever, let's say there's a caribou come by. You know, you shoot them, you kill them, you gut them. You got hundreds of pounds of meat. You're going to ship that all on like what, this dinky ass little fucking airport? Like what kind of plane are you going to fit on here? Probably something like puny Cessna or some shit. Like 2 to 4 seater airplanes. Like no commercial jets are coming through here. No Boeings are flying through here. And then you're going to somehow ship that all the way to, I don't know, Fairbanks, Anchorage, to try to get processed and then sell it to people there. Like some people buy it like, yeah, I support the Alaska economy. I'm going to buy your salmon for $80 a pound. Right. What percentage of people are actually going to do that? So these people really don't have much to work with. So I can see why that they are opposed to this, because they're trying to protect their bottom line, and God forbid you tell them to, I don't know, move. I guess nobility isn't for everyone, thus mobility is kind of falls down that same vein. So I really don't sympathize with the villagers. I mean, technology is going to leave them in the dust. And if they have that much political control over Alaska, then people will probably get sick of it. As like, you know, Russia continues to develop their technology, China continues to develop their technology. If you fear those two people and you're not going to develop your own systems, what the fuck are you doing? Like you're just like spreading your cheeks for like, oh yeah, Putin and Xi, come and fuck me. Like, so even if you're an American nationalist and you love hunting and fishing and nature, like, it'll be there. And if you want to get away from people, you can just hop in your 4x4 and drive out further. Like, what's really going to change? Meanwhile, so in the meantime, so Biden drained the SPR, and I'm guessing now that they've got to refill it. They've kind of screwed their deal with Russian oil. They kind of, well, you know, Saudi Arabia is going to be Saudi Arabia. We already know how that works. So where do we as the West look for oil? We're shutting it all down in Europe because of environmental bullshit. So Alaska is probably like one of the few places left. Well, I guess Alaska, Texas, and where else? Like, we need oil. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? So Biden is like, I guess either Biden or his advisor. No, Biden doesn't have the brain cells to do this. Biden's what is it? I guess council is they're telling him, hey, look, we need oil. We tried to push the Green New Deal bullshit 4 years ago, but Our bottom line is going to be hurt if we don't have produce enough energy. People are going to be really pissed off. The economy will suffer even more than it is right now. We got to do something. And then some brilliant, cool mind, some cooler heads that whom prevailed in that conversation said, "Let's go to Alaska." And here we are. And then the fucking people of Alaska, of all people, are the ones pushing back. They're totally not with, oh, support American oil, support American energy independence. I don't know how industrialized these villages are, but clearly they like using gas. They probably have boats. Their boats are probably not paddle boats. They're probably running on diesel. Where does that diesel come from, moron? Oh, well, from our fisheries. We catch them in our nets to support Alaskan villages, right? It's just a unique kind of stupid, isn't it? Oh, the airplanes? I'm sure airplanes are very important to these villages in terms of their infrastructure. Well, those don't run on fish oil. So, yeah, this is just sad. This is just this is what America has come to, isn't it? By the people, for the people. I don't know. I want to see in the rest.
No.
There's probably half of the article still to go. I'm going to keep reading, or do you think it's just we already?
I think we already know where it's going. We can move on.
So yeah, there's a petition. People are the oil company bad, industrialization bad, but at the same time they love doing that using industrial materials like
What's
the internet.
GDP of Alaska?
Yeah, well, let's go look at it. What is Alaska GDP? Okay, Alaska gross domestic product was about $50.3 billion US dollars. What are the chief economic outputs? Because imagine Alaska's probably heavily dependent on trade, especially food. So this to quote, the state's economy has been described by University of Alaska Anchorage economist as a three-legged stool. One leg being petroleum and gas, the second leg being the federal government, third leg being all under other industries and services. So, main export after oil, natural gas is seafood, salmon, cod, pollock, and crab. Expensive products no one wants to fucking buy. Alaska fishers were able to accumulate a total of 5.8 billion pounds of seafood, which equates to a valuation of $1.9 billion, a small but noticeable increase in comparison to 2012, which had a total of 5.3 billion and 1.7 billion respectively. Agriculture represents only a very small fraction of the Alaskan economy. Straight from Wikipedia. Agriculture production is primarily for consumption within the state and includes nursery stock, dairy products, vegetables, livestock. Manufacturing is limited.
So they're not eating the fish.
No, Alaska. So the food stays in Alaska. It doesn't go outside. Meanwhile, Europe. I mean, go to your grocery store as you listen to this. You will probably see European fish all over it, and it's pretty competitively priced. I'd imagine it's kind of a luxury product, but still. Europe sells their fish all over the world. Alaska sells its fish within Alaska. So people kind of need to wisen the fuck up, especially the agricultural sector. Yeah. So as you can see, like the news article is disproportionately overrepresenting these poor little villages who have nothing but overpriced fish to offer to the economy, at the expense of a much bigger financial object being energy materials. So, yeah, I mean that's kind of literally retarded, like retarding to a more primitive state of life. You're retarding the economic development of Alaska, which is such a huge island of natural resources waiting to be used by a already struggling energy economy known as the Western world. What else? Federal subsidies are also important. Okay, so military bases are a significant component of the. Oh yeah, I remember TFM said that there's like a missile defense system in Alaska. In both Fairbanks and Anchorage, federal subsidies are also an important part of the economy, allowing the state to keep taxes low. Its industrial outputs are crude oil, natural gas, coal, gold, precious metals, zinc, mining, and then seafood processing, timber, and wood products. There's also a growing service and tourism sector. Tourists have contributed to the economy by supporting local lodging. Hotels, really? Okay, anyway.
That's probably from social media.
Yeah, I mean, Alaska Forest Adventure. Or maybe what the fuck is that game called? What is it? It was like, it had like Hayden Panettiere and, what is it? And that other, Emma, no, she's that, oh man, I don't know. I'm losing touch with American media. It's some kind of like survival game where like there's these monsters called the Wendigo. Here, let's see. Wendigo monsters. Hayden Panettiere. Emma Thompson. Okay, what is this game called? Emma Roberts. So I guess Alaska is referenced in like pop culture here and there. Wendigo monsters. Game. I don't know. I think of like some. Okay, Alaska in American pop culture. Until Dawn, that's what that game is. I think that's set in Alaska, isn't it?
Up north somewhere.
Anyway, yeah, so probably tourism. So I guess tourism's might grow. You make the country richer, that's only going to attract more tourism. Yeah. So, I don't know. Alaska, wake the fuck up. Tell your villagers to fuck off and learn to code and drill baby drill. That's my position on it. And I say this as what used to be a real vegan and avid environmentalist. And I've been completely disillusioned, as you can tell. Yeah. Go check out Alaska. It sounds like there's a lot going on there. I don't know. Any other final thoughts, AG?
I think they need to bring some sort of manufacturing to Alaska. Having natural resources and manufacturing, I think they would have a positive money.
I mean, with that much land in like the biggest cities, like 300,000 people, I mean, it sounds like they might want people around, especially if ConocoPhillips can help like build towns. I mean, one hand just kind of shakes the other at that point, right? So there's already enough regulation with all these companies about like, oh, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you need to mind your air quality, don't pollute the water, don't do this, don't do that. I mean, that's the EPA's job, and I'm sure they're already overfurnished. So, yeah. You know, what's terrifying is that back when I was an avid environmentalist, that was just my dying wish. That's what I just wanted to see in the world. And then I got exactly what I wanted many years afterwards. And I'm like, fuck, that's too much. All right. Well, anyway, that's stupid. All right. Next topic. Well, I shouldn't spend too much time on this, but because I've already beaten this drum many times. NGAD is born. Next Generation Air Defense. The Air Force's 6th generation stealth fighter is already flying. From this journal named 1945. I'm guessing it's like a military nerd website. Let's go check out what 1945 is. So yeah, it's basically just like American military news, looks like. Yeah. Okay. So military nerds, they're getting a nice big stiffy on the latest Air Force, uh, I guess U.S. Air Force jet fighter. Uh, let's check it out. Oh look, this is a fucking AI generated image. Look how blurry and wacky it is. And there's a bunch of women in very casual attire in there. That doesn't make any sense. What the fuck's going on here? Is this like a museum or something? Anyway, God, you fucking journalists suck. Anyway, the Air Force 6th generation stealth fighter is airborne. No, that's the 5th gen. Fucking get the fuck out of here. The YF-23 is what lost the JSF, and the F-22 beat it. That's 5th gen. No, maybe like 4th gen. Whatever. Anyway, let's go back to the MSN rendition of the article. So the fact that the new jet has already taken to the skies years ahead of schedule in a large measure to successful digital engineering applications has generated initial comments showing great optimism for the effort from service leaders. While details about its stealth configuration, weapons, and missile systems are not likely available, senior Air Force leaders have discussed concepts of operation with the fast-evolving next-gen air dominance effort. So, oh God, it's just hype. We're hyping up something that, do we really need this? Well, like where the fuck are the Gripens? Where is our fleet of super versatile, modular, lightweight jet fighters that carry a bunch of shit underneath them, more hard points than the F-22, the F-35? Where are they? Oh wait, we're not doing that. I wonder why. Oh man. Okay, who's so blah 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 hype. Okay, who's putting it together? So there's pictures from Lockheed Martin, so that doesn't look like it. An European variant, by contrast, might be built to be smaller and faster, as the countries on that continent are quite close together. Okay, well, jet fighters, I mean, they're small and fast. Like you can do mid-air refueling. So that's what these like. I don't know if you see any like ports, like holes where like the fueling port plugs in. Like go watch. By the way, in case you didn't know, go watch jet fighters refueling mid-air. It's pretty cool how they do that. That's how you do long-range missions, or you carry external fuel pods, external fuel tanks. You drop them off whenever they're empty. It's there's so many ways to work around this, but we're just not doing that for some reason. We as the West need to fucking, I don't know. Well, I guess it's more specific than the West, like the U.S. specifically. They're insisting on doing things the less efficient way, just like Americans do with a lot of things. And they just don't buy planes from Europe, which are smaller and much more versatile, maneuverable, maybe faster. Okay, this article's not telling us much. Let's go look at this one. Okay, this one has a picture from Boeing. Boeing has like this platypus-looking ass fucking jet fighter that is claiming to replace the F-18 Super Hornet. So carrier-bound, likely small. Maybe the wingtips fold up to save space on the carrier deck. Which again, there's Eurofighters, there's Rafales, there's Gripens, but America's not buying that. All right. I'd rather dish out billions of dollars to pay, I guess, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, maybe Northrop Grumman. So the Hornets are getting old, yeah, okay. Now we're replacing it with a brand new thing, rather than, again, going to a system that is more versatile, cheaper, and you can talk to people who've been using it for many years that are your political allies, Europe. Well, I guess at this point, I'm done teasing. It's the military-industrial complex. Yeah, Lockheed Martin, among other companies, they're all locked in with the They're all so deep in bed with the government. They don't want to lose that kind of business. They don't want to lose that job security. And even though they're producing a less efficient product, they've successfully bribed their way to keep their business contracts with the government. And that's like having more important than having the latest technology is having shit that works, that is the most optimized for competition, whether it's capitalism, whether it's international warfare or preparing for it. And if the United States are going to fall behind on that, that's bad news. So, yeah. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
I think we're heading for a really big money pit, and it's going to be set on fire and fed forever.
Navy is asking for 1.53 billion. I mean, I know that's barely like a sneeze in the bucket of the of American debt, but
I think they should just try to make upgrades to the F-18 and keep making.
But again, okay, so let's say the F-35 gets finished with production. It's about 100 million per unit. Eurofighters, Rafales, smaller European jet fighters, probably like 80, 90, 100 million. So about the same price per unit once production's finished. But again, the American government is somehow stuck with funneling money into new projects instead of just re-optimizing or resto-modding older aircraft. Like, okay, well, they're trashing all these Hornets. Okay, why not pimp out the Hornets? Give them upgrades, radar jammers, more hard points,
or just make more of them.
Bigger wings, maybe folding wings, better engines. You can is that not cheaper? Or, well, I think it still would be cheaper than just pouring all this money into some new bullshit that is maybe going to be better. Is like. Oh, man. Well, who just popped in?
Your nightmare.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah. This is America. Don't catch you slipping, no. Look what I'm whipping, yo. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I got none.
Yeah, it's God. What the fuck? Oh, my mouse died. Hold on. I need to plug it in. Okay. All right. Next topic. Let me just hit you with the headline. Taliban unveils Afghanistan's first supercar that is more advanced than you think. So, yeah, that's the funny thing. So, we as the West, we kind of wasted a lot of time and killed a bunch of young men for nothing. But I guess this is the silver lining.
I think this is just clickbait. There's no way.
Okay, let's read. So, it seems that it doesn't take much to become a boutique supercar manufacturer these days, especially considering how some clever 3D modeling and a bit of marketing can make a big splash. Initially, at least, but there's one new supercar from a supercar company that's made the jump to an actual running supercar, and it comes from the Taliban-led Afghanistan, making it the first Afghan supercar. So keep in mind, these motherfuckers are rolling in oil money. Probably have cheap gas. They probably like cars. Not a surprise, really. Updated March 2023, NTOP has released more videos of the Mazda 9 running under its own power on the roads of Afghanistan and on snowy fields kicking up dirt. While other details are scarce, this one made in Afghanistan supercar is worth looking out for. It's perhaps the last place you expect a serious supercar to come from. A team of Afghan supercar enthusiasts have created the NTOP Mazda 9. It's gone viral, helping the Taliban, and it's helped by the Taliban themselves unveiling it, sparking a lot of interest in the home country of the car. It is certainly, I guess we'll just look at it real quick. So here's a demo. It's like, obviously not an off-road vehicle, but they drove it into some snow just for, I don't know. It looks nice, but what's under the hood, of course? I guess we'll find out. Okay, it's got all LEDs. So it just does some donuts in like a snowy slush area of pavement. Oh, they brought it to like a fucking park or some shit. Okay, yeah, well, not too impressive. That's because this Afghanistan supercar is currently powered by none other than a 4-cylinder Toyota engine. It's certainly a bit something a bit different in terms of design in the powertrain department. Okay, so so it's a rear engine, mid-engine car. So good balance of weight between front and rear wheels. So definitely track toy.
Oh, it's tiny too. Okay.
It's got a 4-banger.
Scroll down.
A Toyota 4-banger.
Scroll down. Look at it.
Oh, this is like one of those like kit cars, right? Ugh.
Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, yeah.
So it's probably going to be super light. Hopefully they'll make it out of like maybe fiberglass or carbon fiber. And it's got a little 4-banger.
It's a good competitor for the new Miatas.
Maybe. If they can make it cheap.
If they could actually make a profit selling.
So, yeah. Looks nice. What's it made of? And it was developed with the hilly terrain of the country in mind. So, okay, the car is built from the ground up at the Navari Center of Technical and Vocational Education. So basically a tech school in Afghanistan. Literally college students put it together, apparently. So the team had been developing the body and engine for the prototype over 5 years, and it should be ready in 2 weeks' time. Well, Toyota is once again sponsoring the towel heads. The Toyota has represented
Regime
ISIS.
change on a budget.
That's right. An indestructible vehicle. The Toyota has provided Hiluxes for terrorists and Mujahideen fighters ever since. And now once again they are bringing the engine to the what is it called? The NTOP Mada 9. So, oh, okay, based on a tubular frame chassis. Looking at this mock-up, it's probably carbon fiber. So it's a lightweight, kind of like lightweight composite body, tube chassis. It's going to be super light. And a Toyota, not just any 4-cylinder engine, specifically quote a Toyota Corolla engine. But it has been modified for more power, though details are not available. It has a Formula One style pushrod suspension that should be part of the build of the car. Yeah. Toyota Corolla engine. So according to the links,
engines in the Corolla.
It's a 1.8 liter inline 4, which is naturally aspirated, will spit out 120 to 170 horsepower and 105 to 151 foot-pound of torque. Yeah, that's a tiny engine. Where are they gonna get the power?
This
turbo?
This supercar better not be more than like 50K, because
there's just nothing in there. It's like it's got to be light if it wants to squeeze out that much speed out of. I think okay. So compared
to, is it
to
all-wheel drive or rear wheel?
Let me look at wheel drive. I think it's going to be rear wheel drive. Clearly they want to save weight, so they're going to put like just basically like a gearbox right behind the engine and then go straight to the rear axle. That's what I think is going to go on. But it might even be open diff. Who knows? Oh my god. They're going to turbo the shit out of it. And hopefully they'll overbuild it so it stands up to all that compression. And people are going to run it like a Honda. And it's going to sound like a dirt bike maybe. I think the only good thing you can compare this to is the this car called the BAC Mono. And this is basically like, I guess, depending on your local legality, it's basically like a street legal Formula One car. There's a tiny little engine, and this thing probably weighs like, oh geez, I don't even know. Definitely less than a ton. BAC Mono weight. So the new BAC Mono weighs 1,257 pounds. So their competition is going to be this car, which is a British development. Very small, super lightweight track toy. Yeah. How much power does it have?
It's a modified version of the Toyota Corolla engine.
So the BAC Mono is 1,200 pounds. Has a Ford Duratec 2.3 liter 4-cylinder engine, naturally aspirated. So you put a turbo on the thing, then, well, more power, baby. Oh, Ford Cosworth. Oh. No, Cosworth. Cosworth is a separate company that worked with Ford to build the Cosworth, what is it? The Cosworth Focus or something. Like the Ford rally cars, back when Ford rallying was a thing, I guess. And then a 2.5 liter Montoon Racing Duratec Inline 4, which is a Ford product. So yeah, I mean, if I cared to spend that much money on a car, I don't know how much these things cost. Ooh, 305 brake horsepower at 8,000 revs per minute on a 1,200 pound body. Power to weight ratio 518 horsepower per ton. And a top speed of 170 miles per hour. I would get that. I'd rather do that than buy this Flexmobile. Though the Mazda 9 might be more comfortable since it has like a closed cabin, but that's extra weight. So I don't know. Where's the windshield wipers on this thing? I don't know. A lot of it doesn't add up. And the demo wasn't impressive. We didn't see any videos of this thing actually moving. Yeah. Oh well, that was quite the headline. I mean, literally a Taliban supercar. Oh man.
I mean, it could just be a company that started and the U.S. was occupying. I don't know.
Probably. I mean, it's created by college students, so they're trying. Better than whatever you or I would probably produce, but still, I mean, deliver to the hype, right? Hype it up and then deliver. So we'll see. Anyway, so that was funny. Next topic. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, next topic.
Okay. Bloomberg, are some people, quote, super immune to COVID? What the fuck? Did you mean like, oh, God forbid, a natural immunity? Oh, no. That's hate speech.
Drink plenty of vitamin C.
Vitamin C is awesome. You didn't hear that from me, did you? Oh, no, you didn't. Check out my video about antioxidants and Dr. Dr. Sinclair, yeah. Okay, Madison Mueller, March 30th, 2022. What the fuck? This article's a year old? Hold on. What the... Oh, I think I got the wrong one. Okay, so what I've heard, that this article is talking about, if you hear the word super immunity, I think it's going on using describe that this is somehow the people who they got one of the COVID shots, and then they got COVID, and then their immune system theoretically would adapt to both the vaccine and COVID, and the person is still not dead and isn't suffering from, I don't know, say, myocarditis, pericarditis, or such related heart diseases, or any other problems that's associated with, well, a failure in immune system function, right? So, I've got to ask you, did they earn that immunity through exposure to the various pathogens, deliberately or not? Or were they just born with a strong immune system, a properly functioning immune system? How sick were these people? Did they get sick whenever they got the vaccine? Did they get sick whenever they supposedly got COVID? Well, the answer varies because we're talking about usually a large aggregate body of subjects within a trial. So, yeah, I guess so people are still talking about COVID. Really, I think for the most part, just to fucking jerk their own dicks off. But, oh, look at me. Look how much I know about virology. Oh. And it's fucking useless. Like, thankfully, finally, nobody gives a fuck about COVID anymore. But there's still a lot of important lessons to learn from, like, human behavior. And I think slowly, anecdotally, I don't have any data to prove this, in my observation, at least where I live, which is a pretty based place, to say the least, people are starting to really step back and be like, hold on, a lot of the shit that the government is talking about regarding health really doesn't make sense. And it's, God forbid, my own job to take care of my own health. And, yeah. So, are some people super immune? Well, if you just call a robust immune system super immunity, then sure. But why the fuck do you need a vaccine in that case? If it's not going to do anything to you much in the first place. And considering the fact that there's asymptomatic transmission, if that's not bullshit too, then there's plenty of ways to expose yourself to COVID without even having to get the shot. And then furthermore, COVID, of course, just like any virus, realizes that, hey, if I want to spread, I can't kill my host, so it's going to become less and less deadly as the years go on. Why do you need COVID? Why do you need COVID vaccines? Why do you need boosters? You don't.
Simply just don't get COVID.
Don't get these fucking shots. And I don't know about you, but if, let's say when I get old, inevitably, as much as I hate to think about it, and my immune system becomes weak, I cannot imagine spending the rest of my fucking life sitting indoors, being scared to death of something that kills less people than Alzheimer's does. I'd probably be more afraid of Alzheimer's because that's a lot more sneaky. And Alzheimer's, dementia, etc., like brain degradation, central nervous degradation diseases. If I were that old and that weak, firstly, I would know my days are limited. Second, every day would be a gift, just like how it is for me as a younger man right now. And third, if what I plan to do, maybe my attitude, maybe I'll be singing a different tune by that time. But when I get to that age, knowing all those two factors, and the third one will be that if I'm so weak I cannot stand up to something like COVID, it's time for me to go. And I'm going to live life however the fuck I wanted to, probably not that much different than I am living now. And if I die, then I deserve to go. The world's had enough of me. So that's why, and again, in order to put off that day as long as possible, that's why taking care of your health is important. This is why exercising regularly, sleeping well, eating a diet of whole foods, plants, fruits, and vegetables is all part of that. And of course, people aren't fucking doing that. So that's another reason why that they suffered from either the vaccine or COVID itself, is because their health is just kind of dog shit otherwise. Remember, the show, the time on stage No, I'm sorry. The show is everything but the time on stage. If a performer does not prepare for the show on every other hour outside of the show itself, then the show will suffer. So, same thing with health. All your body systems are related to each other. A metabolic dysfunction can affect the amount of energy you can deliver to your immune system for it to do its job whenever something more serious than fucking COVID comes along. So, yeah.
Like the flu.
Given the data is not bullshit, they're pretty close, especially at this point. So, I mean,
simply Google flu deaths and then COVID deaths on the year 2021.
Yeah. So, I hope this doesn't affect the stream. I hope it doesn't get taken down. If not, well, I got a recording ready to go, and I'll find a way to get that.
Oh, if it's going to YouTube, it'll straight up get taken down. Anything COVID related gets taken off of YouTube.
I don't know. Maybe they're backing off on it because now, so the news media is looking for a new panic to keep people busy and distracted from the fact that the government's fucking stupid, and COVID's kind of running out of steam. Like, people aren't really scared about it as much. And then it's go from like COVID, panic to COVID. Oh, that's COVID bad. Yay. All right. Now what? So you've got to keep the monkeys stimulated, right? So now they're going with. Now they tried. Okay, China balloon bad, China bad. Then people are just like, it used to be like, ooh, America number one. Yeah. But clearly that attitude's kind of died for a little bit. So then they're like, the Russians and the Chinas are up to it again. That's how people in America seem to be thinking, right? So the government needs to keep hitting the zoo of monkeys with more shit to keep them entertained and keep them distracted from who's really actually pulling the strings, which is either the government or the people themselves. So, yeah. If anything, maybe I'm the one with the most politically unpopular message here, the most offensive message by telling, hey, stop being a lazy piece of shit and take care of your health. It is not the government's responsibility. It is not your family's responsibility. It is your responsibility to take care of your own body. But people don't want to hear that, of course. And they get fucking mad at me like TFM does. So it's just a unique level of patheticness, really, that the Western world has devolved into, especially the United States. So, yeah. If you have a weak immune system, unless you're just a genetic fuck up, which probably truly isn't in your control, it's kind of your fault. Sorry. If you have a weaker immune system, you could gradually train it through spending limited time outside and then staying home when you're sick and then getting better and then going back out into the real world. Or you can hide in your house and like the rest of your life like a fucking pussy where your immune system only gets weaker and then you get more sick whenever you get exposed to something really harmless like the common cold. And that's another way that people die. So the human body would be weak and useless without stress whatsoever. Managing stress, whether physical and exercise, mental, whenever it comes to like learning and cognitive training, or training your immune system to be strong. All these systems work together, and they are all part of the same unit known as your body. So you use it or you lose it. You train it or it gets flabby, weak, and useless. And it's kind of your call what you do with your body from there on, isn't it? So, yeah. So, I don't know where I saw this. I think I saw a different article that was talking about super immunity. But yeah, if you see any morons talking about super immunity, that might be what's going on. I think the other thing that I want to get across here is that they're using this phrase to somehow what people would do with this phrase super immunity is that super immunity is like some kind of privilege for people who, I don't know, aren't fat and poor and useless, like I don't know, certain demographic minorities, whether racial or economic, like disadvantaged people, inequality, the racial minorities, the working class, whatever the fuck. They're going to talking about how like these people, they don't have the access to super immunity. It's like here, okay, here's what it talks about. The author says, quote, I have had COVID twice while my sisters managed to avoid the virus until last week. This had people me thinking about immunity lately. Why do some people like me seem particularly susceptible to the virus while others never get it at all? After the winter Omicron surge, remember this article is back in 2022, March last year. It may come as a surprise that more than half of the U.S. still hasn't had COVID, according to an estimate from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention. That number is likely just a tad on the low side. It doesn't account for data collected after January 31st. It turns out research suggests that at least some people are more than just lucky. They appear to have some kind of quote-unquote super immunity. And studying these people has led to key insights about our immune system, what it may, and how we may be able to bolster protection against future COVID variants. Okay, so what is this super immunity? So during the first wave of the pandemic, prior to vaccines, Swadling and other researchers in the UK have studied a group of healthcare workers whose bodies were able to fight SARS-CoV-2 without creating specific antibodies to do so. This means that they were able to fend off the virus before ever testing positive. These researchers have discovered that prior exposure to other coronaviruses, like the common cold, they're just giving it away at this point, have helped prime the health workers' immune systems to also fight off COVID-19. It's because the viruses share some genetic similarities with COVID. Yes. And their body's T cells developed from past exposure were able to attack those genetically similar parts of the virus. Okay, so this is actually not that complicated. So your body's an intelligent system. Your body's smarter than you. 7 to 21 trillions versus 22 billion cells. 7 to 21 trillion body cells versus 19 to 22 billion brain cells. I've said it many times before. I'll be saying it again in the future. With 7 to 21 different units that could potentially hold information, these act almost like the intelligence of people in a city. And your T cells, which I guess maybe are probably in the billions, maybe. They're part of many different cells that function as part of your serum immune system. The immune system goes well beyond just what's in your blood. There's also your skin cells. Your skin cells are another big source of your immune system. That's why you shed one of the many reasons you shed dead skin is because these skin cells are hijacked by a virus, and then they die, and then they sacrifice themselves by falling off of your body. And that's another reason another way you keep pathogens out of your blood. Your eyes, nose, ears, and mouth, they secrete tears, they secrete mucus, and then whenever, for example, let's say something itches in your throat, like what I'm dealing with right now. There was something nasty in my kitchen. I won't tell you much about it. And I accidentally inhaled it like a moron. And even though I was talking a lot on, I think last Thursday night, I noticed that my throat started to hurt because I guess I'm just weak. That part of my body is weak. And then I started to get a throat infection and a little bit of a headache. But believe it or not,